So, normally, when we think of rendering service and we think of self realization, they seem to be two different things in many cases. Those who are interested in rendering service engage in charitable activities, engage in various causes, whether it's economic or political or environmental and so on. And then those who are engaging in sadhana, they tend to just isolate and remain in this pursuit of realization. But it is a division again that has blind spots on both sides, because when it comes to service, it's very clear that anyone who is offering service out of the ego is always going to be partial. And we see this all the time in the world, where people are identified with a particular image of their ego and they are convinced that this is the right position. And in this conviction, they actually have a very clear sense of judgment, division, and they get this missionary zeal to cause change. And many times, all the change they creates disturbances of unintended consequences. And we see this in political revolutions, in economic change, in any realm. When one is partially looking at a single aspect of this world out of a sense of identity, it causes confusion. On the other hand, when we look at self realization, there is a tendency to think that it is a solitary activity and it has got nothing to do with the world. And there is also great fallacy there, because our life unfolds in this world here and now. And no matter where we live, we are living in relation to other people, other things, to nature, to all of it. So when we engage with things, engage with people, again, normally the tendency is to engage out of the ego. And if we do that, of course, we are only creating division, comparison, hurt, and all of it. But we cannot escape interacting with people. Even if we go to a forest, even if one goes to a cave, there is always going to be interaction with nature, interaction with animals, interaction with other people who are there, even if they are very few in number. And those interactions, when one is free of the ego, those interactions happen naturally as an expression of pure love. So we see this very clearly, for example, in the life of Ramana Maharishi, where he, whether it be with the monkeys or the dogs or the cows, or whether it be with Arunachala, the mountain, of course, who is Shiva himself, and every tree, every shrub, every boulder of Arunachala, or whether it be with the people who came to him, there was always a relation of unconditional love, because there was no center from which it happened. There was no me, and therefore what is fully seen as divine without any judgment, and that is true unconditional love. And when that unconditional love manifests, then that is the highest form of service, because we naturally listen to the other person, we are sensitive to what they are, and we see them not as an individual ego but as the very divine essence. When we see the other person as an ego, as an image that we have projected, we always see them partially, and there is going to be no true love. There is only attachment. But when we see the divine essence alone as the true reality of everyone, then that brings forth unconditional love. And that unconditional love is the highest form of service. And it can take any outer form that does not even matter, because it will be of the right nature, whether it is just simply silence or whether it is expressed through words or whether it is through action. The very expression is service. So we don't have to therefore have any premeditated plan of how to serve or to not serve. But if we simply remain free of the false identification with the me, then what is an expression of service. And that self realization can be only now. So, every moment when we are alert and aware, and if the image of the me rises, ask who is rising now, and thereby be free of this image having a hold on our consciousness, and letting it go through this simple inquiry. Then what remains is the pure presence. And that pure presence is the pure self. And that realization brings forth unconditional love, and that alone brings forth true service. So, service is not an intention, because intention is always coming from the ego, but it is just an expression of simply being. So, if we don't have this duality, then between whether to engage or not, because engagement happens as ordained. When we are in family or at work or society in general or wherever we are, whatever engagements happening with people are happening as ordained. So the only way in front of us is whether we engage through the ego or we are free and we engage as the divine essence. When we engage as the divine essence, then actually there is no we, there is just the divine engaging. So if we are free of the separate sense of me, then the relating rather happens spontaneously, free of any sense of division, and that is service. And that can take any shape, any form. So when we sit in silence, when we speak about this, when we share this, or when we just walk and look at nature, every moment can be an expression of pure love, which is service.